Hey guys, welcome to video 49. In the last couple videos, we've processed a radar image using the MapReady software, and that converted it to a GeoTIFF. Then in the last video, I showed you how to make a header file for that GeoTIFF in ENVI. So we now have the radar data as GeoTIFFs that are fully geo-referenced. To move on towards classifying wetlands in these images, our next step is going to be to average and filter the radar images. So in this video, I'm going to talk about why it's necessary to do averaging and filtering. Then I'm going to show you how to average two of the radar images in ArcMap, and then we're going to go back into ENVI to actually filter the images. So the reason that radar images need to be averaged and filtered is because of this effect called speckle. Speckle is a high-frequency noise in the image, and you can see the noise based on the speckling in these pixels. This farm field is supposed to be largely white pixels, meaning a high backscatter, but some of these pixels are dark. For whatever reason, those pixels showed a low backscatter. It might be something about the scatterers in that pixel, or it might be something about the angle that the radar image was collected from, or both. So speckle is basically a random variation. So to get rid of it, we're going to smooth the pixels. We're going to go through and average the pixels or assign some value based on what the neighboring values are. So a few of the filters or smoothing techniques that are commonly used for radar data are the median, frost, and gamma filters. The median would just consider a pixel and then assign it a new value based on whatever the median of its neighbors is. The frost and gamma rely on a bit more complicated assumptions about how the speckled pixels should be distributed in space. And in addition to these filters, of course, if we have multiple radar images of the same scene, we can actually average those radar images and beat down some of the speckle that way. So the first thing I'll show you how to do is take two images into ArcMap and average them, and then I'll show you how to do some filtering in ENVI. So I'd like to start out by returning to our project in ENVI, where we have our two georeferenced radar images, and then we have our multi-band Landsat image. What we're going to need to do, we're going to quickly clip these radar images to match the extent of the Landsat image, which is also our study area. We're going to clip those, then we're going to bring them up in ArcMap and average them, and then we're going to bring them back to ENVI to filter them. So recall that to quickly clip in ENVI, we go to Raster Management, Resize Data. Actually, let's go to New File Builder. You can use either. And we'll pick 26054, and we'll spatially subset it using a file, and we'll use this Landsat image that's already been clipped. I'll specify a file name. Notice I've shortened that to 26054 clip.tiff. Let's hit OK. Okay, excellent. That file has now appeared in our ENVI project. So go ahead and repeat the process for image 35939. Okay, so I repeated the process. I've got both of my clipped radar images. I'm now going to remove the original files, both from the display and also remove them from the data manager, just so they're not taking up space. Okay, so our next goal is going to be to actually average these two radar images, to start trying to reduce the effect of the speckle by averaging them. It's difficult to directly average them in ENVI, so we're going to do this part in ArcMap. So I've got ArcMap open here, and I've already got the Landsat opened. So I'm going to go ahead and add to this the two files that we just made, the two clipped TIFFs. Those came in, they look good. Okay, so now we'll use Raster Calculator to average these. Raster Calculator can be found under Spatial Analyst, Map Algebra, Raster Calculator. And I'm going to write an expression in here, which is parentheses, the first radar image plus the second radar image, close parentheses, divide by 2. So it's literally a numerical average of the two radar images. I'll specify an output file name, which I've called 35939260054 average.tiff. I'll hit OK. And great, my average has come up, and you can see it is a bit different than either of the two underlying images. Great, so now that I've got that average saved, I'm actually just going to close ArcMap. I won't need it again. And let's go back to ENVI. Let's go ahead and open that averaged TIFF that we just created. And that should come in on top of the others, displayed as a grayscale. And to simplify things, I'm going to remove these other visualizations. So now I've just got my average radar image and my clipped Landsat on top of each other. So the next thing I want to do is continue to try to reduce the speckle by playing around with a few different filters. And ENVI has a lot of great filtering capability. You can find them all under Filter here. Let's start off by doing a simple median filter in which the new value of each pixel will be assigned the median of its neighboring pixels. So that can be done through convolutions in morphology. And notice right away we can set the kernel size. So that would be the size of the moving window. I'm going to set that to be 5 by 5. So the value of this pixel will be assigned the median of a 5 by 5 grid around it. And I'll choose under convolutions, I'll choose median. And there's a lot of different filters you could choose from here, but median's nice and simple. And I'm going to hit now apply to file. I'm going to choose to apply this to my average, and I'll assign an output file name. So I called it median.tiff to denote which one it is, and I'll hit OK. Okay, and the results of that filter have come up. Let's have a look at how it did, for example, in the area of the Cornwall Swamp. So here's the Cornwall Swamp, and turning the median filter on and off, that did a pretty nice job smoothing out some of that bad speckle. And it looks like we didn't lose too much detail actually, so the 5 by 5 filter was a pretty good choice. So next, let's try one of the more complicated filters. Let's try the gamma filter. So I'll click gamma filter, and we're going to try this again on the averaged radar. And let's go ahead and use a 5 by 5 kernel again. I happen to know that this radar image was composed of 3 looks, and I called this file gamma.tiff extension, and I'll hit OK. So the result of our gamma filter has popped up, and let's quickly compare it with the median filter. So here's gamma, here's the median, and then here's the unfiltered image. So it does look as though the gamma is a little bit smoother perhaps, but not by a lot. In general, it looks like the results of the gamma and the median filter came out pretty similar to one another. So continue to play around with some different filters until you're pretty happy with the way that some of your discrete terrains are delineated. In the next step, we're going to take these averaged and filtered images, and we're going to start preparing to classify them. So be happy with your filter before you move on to the next video. So to review, in this video we talked about why averaging and filtering is necessary. I showed you how to average images in ArcMap, and then how to filter the images in ENVI. Join us for our next video where I'll show you how to resample images in ENVI.